Bun sturdiness? Check. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So we have a very exciting DIY video for you guys today. That is right, it is Christmas holiday themed, which I'm super excited to share with you. Now, I will say, I actually don't decorate until Thanksgiving. But I know that is not what a lot of people do. Some people will decorate well before, some people decorate after. But I figured, why not actually give this DIY video a little bit ahead of the game so everyone can actually enjoy it. There's a very eclectic theme to it. It is very across the board, so hopefully something that everyone can enjoy. And if you're not already, definitely make sure you're subscribed and you hit that little notification bell so you know when I post again, because I post DIY and home decor content every single week. But without further ado, let's get into it.
So for our first project, you'll need these two table decor pieces, these wooden dowels, a paint pen, preferably black, your choice of ribbon, and a glue gun and glue sticks. So we're going to start off by taking one of the globes and start creating a face on it. So I started off by just drawing two circles for the eyes. So I roughly sketched them out. And then when I was ready, I just drew some half circles at the top of the eyes. And then I colored in my eyes. Once I was done with that, I decided to draw eyebrows. I know, snowmen don't have eyebrows, but I wanted my snowman to have character. So I decided to give him some character. But I gotta say, I'm digging the eyebrows. Also, one tip for you, if you make any mistakes, you can use baby wipes to wipe it away. I haven't used it if it dried, but if you're quick about it, you can definitely wipe it off with no problem. So moving on to the face, I kept it a more natural look where we're drawing dots for the mouth. So I just drew my dots, and then I went over and went back in to make them thicker dots to my liking. So once you give that some time to dry, you're going to go ahead and attach the head to the base of the body. So I just used glue gun and glue sticks to put it around the rim, and then I placed it on top of the other globe. The glue gun actually works great, but if you're feeling uncomfortable with it, you can always use E6000 too. Next, I just took my wooden dowel and cut it down to the length that I liked, and then I'm just gluing that down as my nose. Now you can use a hacksaw to cut this down, or you can use some really good scissors. So now I'm just taking my ribbon and wrapping around the snowman's neck just to see how long I want the scarf to be. I specifically chose this ribbon because I wanted something neutral, and then I cut into the ribbon ends to kind of make it more look like a scarf. It was also a pretty thick piece of ribbon, so I actually folded it down over itself and then wrapped it around. So you can see here, I'm just wrapping it around, trying to find what the placement I like, and then once I find that I like that placement, I'm gluing down the certain points that I need to in order for it to stay that way. Once you're done with that, you can also fray the ends to make it look more like a scarf, which in retrospect, I really wish I did, but I'm still happy with the way it turned out. So for our next project, we need these small ornaments, these large wooden craft sticks that you can find at Walmart, these 3 metal decor signs, and a glue gun and glue sticks once again. So we're going to start off by taking the popsicle sticks and just cutting off the rounded edges. So we want our popsicle sticks to be long, flat pieces. Once we've accomplished this, we're going to move on to assembling the triangle. So we're going to put hot glue on the ends, and then we're going to place them together. Assembling the triangle upright was much easier than, in my opinion, than actually assembling it on the table. Next, we're going to take our wooden popsicle sticks and stack them to create a backing for our triangle. You just want to make sure that you have enough popsicle sticks to cover the entire back of the triangle. Once you've accomplished this, you want to take a pen or a pencil and then trace the outline of the triangle so you know where to cut. When cutting, you don't need anything fancy. I just used a regular pair of scissors to cut down these popsicle sticks. It worked perfectly fine. The only thing I would say is that when you get to the top part, just be careful because it did kind of break on me a little bit. Once you're done with the cuts, you're going to move on to assembling it on the back. So you're just going to use hot glue and glue it down, making sure that you're picking the correct pieces for the back of the triangle. I just glued the popsicle sticks on the edges, but you can also glue the seams as well. The intention of this design was to kind of look like shiplap, so just space it as far apart or as close as you want to. So once we're done with that, we're going to move on to painting. So I just used a white acrylic paint to paint, but you can use chalk paint. I figured that the acrylic paint was working just fine. I wanted a kind of whitewash look as opposed to an actual overall coverage. So just make sure when you're painting this, you paint the entire thing. I forgot to paint the back, so I had to go back and paint the back side of it before moving on to the next step. So from the package, I took the Believe Decor sign and I just placed it on top of my triangle and made sure I liked it before I glued it down. Now, I will say if you're going for a farmhouse look, you can spray paint this like a hammer black. I think that would look more of a farmhouse look than this, but I think that the metal still looks amazing on it, and I love this design. But let's jump into the other design now. So once again, we're going to cut 3 popsicle sticks and cut off the edges, and then we're going to take this string that was found in the ornament box and start tying the ornaments to the string. Now the key here is that you want to tie the ornament up farther enough so that there's still string left on either side. And then you're going to take the second side of the string and then tie another ornament. And then you're going to tie your third ornament below that. So essentially this is going to look like a string of ornaments just hanging down from the top of your triangle. Next, we're going to put some glue on the top of the popsicle stick and place our string on top of that before taking our other popsicle stick and joining it together. Hold it in place while it dries and make sure that the space and distance is far enough apart for your bottom piece. Now we're going to move on to attaching the bottom. So I just placed some glue on the ends and then placed my bottom piece on top of that. Just making sure and holding it in place and giving it some time to dry before I moved it around. Last but not least, I picked up my joy sign and then just put it in a position that I liked and then glued it down in place. So just make sure that you glue everywhere where it touches the wood. So for the next project, you need this wooden tray, some black acrylic paint, these house ornaments, these trees, and also some fairy lights. So you're going to take your black acrylic paint and paint the backing of the tray. Now, I should have actually painted the inside walls of it as well, but I actually painted those white instead. In retrospect, I think it would have looked a little bit better and it looked more like a night sky if I painted it black as well. Now here you see I'm taking the white paint and painting all over the place, and then I'm using the paint to flick paint specks on it to create like a starry night. So once it was dry, I used this felt to kind of just cover the bottom to create snow. This is an optional step, you don't have to do it, but I thought it kind of gave it a little bit more of an emphasis that it was a snowy landscape. So next, if you want to, you can add the fairy lights. There is a slot through that you can add it, but I actually drilled a hole in the bottom of it so I can thread them through. So once it was threaded through, I just wanted to make sure it was secure. So here you see that I'm gluing down on the wire, making sure that I'm not actually gluing down on the fairy light. And then I'm kind of just snaking it back and forth to create a design. So once it's secure, you want to move on to painting the wire. So I turned on the lights just so I could see the light itself, so I'm not painting over that accidentally. And then I just come in back with my black acrylic paint and paint over the wires. Now once you've completed this, if you want to, you can come in with the white paint again and kind of flick it on to kind of create more stars. But I figured I'd skip this step just because it actually created good design without the need for that. So once you've painted the wire completely and covered it, give it some time to dry before moving on to the next step. So as you can see here, I just laid out my design how I wanted it, and now I'm just taking piece by piece and gluing it down to the bottom of the tray. The thing I love about this is that you can design any kind of landscape you want. So it doesn't have to be a house with trees, it can be any kind of little figurine that you want to kind of show what winter and Christmas resembles for you. Okay, so for our last DIY, we need the small wooden wreath, these pearl beads, these snowflake ornaments, some string, and then greenery and flowers of your choice. So we're going to start off by tying the string to the bottom. I ended up tying 3 strands at the base of my wreath. Once that was tied, I just put on some beads. So I threaded through 12 beads, and then at the end of it, I tied on my snowflake ornament. Honestly, I had these beads for so long that I wanted to incorporate them in a craft, and I thought, why not incorporate them into a winter holiday craft, because that's what it kind of reminds me of, because they're so shiny and white. But I basically repeated this step of the 12 beads and the snowflake for each of the strings. Next, I tied a string across the top middle part of the wreath and started stringing through some beads as well. So I threaded through about 8 beads, then put down my snowflake, and then 8 more beads, and then tied it to the other side. Then I moved on to my greenery. So I'm just gluing down my greenery on the bottom half of the wreath. Now I decided not to completely cover it because I did want that natural wood to kind of come through. This, of course, was just a personal preference, but you can honestly design it any way you want to. I just picked white flowers and some very vibrant greens in order to kind of bring out that Christmas feel for me. I did, however, want my wreath to be symmetrical, so whatever I did on the left side, I just repeated it for the right side to make sure that it mirrored each other. So now I'm just going in with my white flowers. I'm pretty sure I got these at Michael's, but you can find an abundance of flowers at Dollar Tree, and they're actually pretty good quality as well. So last minute, I decided to switch my design and put my snowflake on the top of it, and then hang a snowflake hanging down just because of the fact that it was covered by the flowers. I ended up liking this design so much better though.
Alright guys, that's it for the content today, but thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed these whimsical DIYs. If you like this video, definitely make sure you give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it, because I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for you guys tuning in every single week. I have a lot of big DIYs coming up, so I hope that you tune in, and if you're not subscribed, you definitely subscribe. And if you subscribe and keep tuning in, I promise you the content will only get better. So thank you. I can't wait until the next one. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.